Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How is everybody out there doing? My name is Scotty, and this is the Rogue Millennial podcast. It is a beautiful Wednesday afternoon, 3:05 p.m. Sorry for being 5 minutes late, but I was having some technical difficulties. So first, for the first time today, we have our first in-studio guest, his name is Mike Weiss. He is himself a real true Rogue Millennial, 24 years old, right? Is a college student at Fordham University. He is a power lifter and a strongman competitor. So we're going to get to him in just a minute. But Foist, I have just one thing real quick I want to talk about, something that just happened today. A few hours ago, we had a breaking news story of a Republican senator who was shot in Alexandria, Virginia, while they were practicing for a GOP versus Democrat baseball game or something like that. And this Republican senator was shot by a man with a gun. And the first thing we kind of heard all over the place was nothing. Really. I didn't really kind of dive head first into this story like I normally do it. It's kind of last minute. But usually when something like this happens, like let's say if it is a Democrat senator that gets shot, all you hear about is, white terrorism and right-wing extremists and right-wing terrorism and white supremacists and all this kind of stuff that kind of just jumps out right at you as soon as it happens. As soon as it happens, that's what we're doing, or we're having the gun control debate or something like that. In this case, it wasn't like that. And I was involved in a little Facebook argument today, as I normally get myself involved in because I just can't stay away. It's a sickness, like I always say. And people were arguing over how we react to things differently depending on where they're coming from or who's doing what. And in the case of a right wing, or what we assume to be a right-wing attack on anything, we automatically throw out the white terrorism thing and how white people are a bigger terror threat than anything else and bigger than Muslims and all that kind of stuff. And as soon as we hear that it is kind of the opposite, or an attack in the opposite direction, we kind of just go, nothing. We just have nothing to say about it. And I think that's kind of hypocritical of us, and we need to start having more moral, intellectual, and logical consistency when we talk about these kind of things. So anyway, as this story develops, we will get back at you. But like I've always said, we're not concerned with reporting a story, and all that kind of stuff. We're kind of more concerned with talking about the entire surrounding narrative around it. So more than just talking about the entire story going on here, I would rather just kind of talk about what that means to us as a society and how we react to things and how we kind of push these narratives and kind of what we choose to be outraged about, what we choose to think is important to us. Anyway, I'm going to get some music started. You okay with that? Let's get some music going in the background because I love having background music. Platow. Anyway, so with no further ado, introducing, here's his intro song. All right, we have Mr. Mike Weiss. You are on, Mike Weiss. Say hi to everybody.
How's it going, everybody? How are we doing today?
Say that again.
Said, how's it going, everybody?
Can you guys hear him? Is he good? Go again, Mike. Sorry.
How's it going?
All right.
How's that hump day feeling for everybody?
Hump day! How's it going today, Mike? I haven't seen you in a while. So, For those of you who haven't seen or don't know, I had another show on another platform back in the day called Being Human, and Mike Weiss was my first guest there. So I'm happy to have him as the first guest on the Rogue Millennial podcast, too. We got balls deep in each other's brains, right? We kind of had a nice deep conversation.
It's very deep.
So deep, yes. So what's happening today, Mike? What's going on, buddy?
What's going on in my life? I just finished my semester at school. Trying to start the summer off right, getting back into lifting. I just went on a date on Sunday.
Whoa.
You want to hear about the date?
Yeah, let's talk about the date, man.
Yeah, so I hadn't had sex in over a year.
And why is that? Like, on purpose?
No, I was trying.
Okay.
And yeah, I went on a date with a nice 25-year-old girl from Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And it went really well. And I finally broke that seal. Had some sex. I feel like a different person, you know.
All right. And when was this?
This was on Saturday.
Did you wrap it up?
Of course.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice, man. You paid attention in health class. People are saying this video is not working, but they got to check it out now. So if you are listening, well, I guess if you're listening, you figured it out. But when I post these YouTube links, if you try to click on the link before we go live, it's going to say it's unavailable. But now that we are live, you can click on it now. And I guess if you're listening to this, it doesn't matter, and you already figured it out. So, Mike, being a 24-year-old college student is Fordham's not really a liberal college, right? It's kind of like a Catholic school almost, or
it's a
Jesuit school. So is that Catholic? Is that?
I think it's a sect of being Catholic. I mean, I'm Jewish, so.
Yeah. So how does that work?
There's not many Jewish people, but I've never experienced any anti-Semitism personally. But I do know that a lot of my friends graduated this year, and they had a speaker. The commencement speaker is known to be anti-Semitic and have a lot of stuff like that, and they had him talk. So a lot of people.
Who was the speaker?
I'm not sure. Some guy who's like one of the Pope's advisors, but people weren't happy about that. But yeah, I've never experienced anti-Semitism, but there are a lot of different, social justice things going on, and. Mm-hmm. To be honest, I can't really keep up with it.
Is there anything like that going on at Fordham at all? I wouldn't think so, but
not too much. The only thing going on is that the administration they're not paying their adjunct professors enough, so there's a lot of protests like that. But not really. That kind of seems justified. That professors aren't getting paid enough, and people are unhappy about, but that's not really a race issue. That's kind of a societal issue with teachers not getting paid enough.
Right.
But yeah, in terms of the social justice stuff, I don't see too much of it on campus.
Now, how about do you see the kind of stuff that goes on like around the country on other college campuses? Like Evergreen State College, UCLA, UC Berkeley, and all that kind of shit. Have you seen that at all?
I glance at it, but I don't read into it.
So you don't want to see what your generation is up to or anything like that?
No.
I wouldn't want to either, to be honest with you. If I was in that age group,
yeah,
I think I would be embarrassed, and I still kind of am, because depending on who you ask, I am kind of a millennial, and for the purposes of this podcast, I started, calling myself a millennial so I could say I'm a rogue millennial,
right.
So because it sounds cool. But I just, God, it's so fucking embarrassing, man. It's like, how do these people get along in life with themselves? So, for instance, Evergreen State College, right? Do you have any idea? Have you heard it? Do you have any idea what's going on?
No.
Okay, so at Evergreen State College, what they had was every year they do something called the Day of Absence / a Day of Presence. And what they do is, I guess, for the last, 30-something years, ever since the 70s or something like that, what they did was they had all students and faculty members of color, right? Mm-hmm. Like black and brown students and teachers, leave campus for the day to show their impact, right, of what it would have on the campus. Now, if you can imagine, all the black and brown students leaving campus does not really impact the campus in any kind of substantial way, right? So I guess it's kind of like, whatever, okay. But anyway, so this past year, or this year, now 2017, what the faculty and students had proposed for the day of absence was, well, we're going to tell all white people to leave campus. And there was one professor who said no, right? That's not a good idea. Professor Weinstein, Brett Weinstein. That's not a good idea. I'm not going to do that. That's racist in itself. This is, and he said it in the most respectful way, and the campus is going crazy. Like, the campus, I think, has been shut down now. There are students who, claim to be like the arbiters of social justice, and they're like the campus police now, riding around with baseball bats, like taking over the campus, literally. Like, they're roaming around in groups with baseball bats, like fat chicks with pink hair and shit like that, and like trans students. And there's one black girl in a wheelchair, right? Who's like, she talks like this, like that kind of thing. Like, and she's over trying to run people over with a weird wheelchair and shit, and spitting at people and cursing at them. They're throwing water on people. It's fucking chaos. It is chaos, complete anarchy. It is ridiculous. It's terrible. It's horrible. And you have no idea of this.
I don't. I've never heard of any of that.
I mean, do you kind of just like choose not to be involved, or choose not to?
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess I'm kind of in the arena that what can I do by getting riled up or getting in I don't get in Facebook arguments ever, because I just, like, it's just a circle jerk, like everybody has their own opinions, and like everybody's fucked up. The world's a fucked up place.
Yeah, so my co-host Sean B has the same kind of opinion, right? Like, it's not affecting me in any way. It's not doing anything to me. Why the fuck do I care? My argument is that it is affecting you. It is going to affect you. And if it's not affecting you now, it is going to. If it's not affecting you, it's going to affect your children. Because these crazy ass motherfuckers are out there doing things that are actually enacting social and political changes, right? So you can say, well, it's not going to affect me, but when your son gets kicked off of campus for being white, you know what I'm saying? And you could have said something about it 10 years ago, 20 years ago, right? You can, and when everybody around you was telling you this is a huge deal, and you're going, no, it's not a big deal, because this is something that happens, right? I have a bunch of friends I always talk about this too, and they either just don't believe me, or they think, you're overreacting, it's ridiculous, or that's not happening, or they just think it's not a big deal, and it's just a bunch of stupid kids.
I'm not necessarily saying it's not a big deal, but I am saying that I don't stay informed, and I think that's part of, like, I have so much going on mentally that I can't, I don't follow the news. I just don't. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I'm saying that's kind of my take on it. But when I do hear stuff like this, I just feel like there's so much different shit going on that I can't follow what's happening. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on with Trump. I think the election was a whole humongous thing that kind of got me burnt out from politics, because there's so much information. You don't know what to trust. You don't know who to listen to.
I think this was the year that we really found that out for sure. Like, that this is not this is not going the way it should be going, and we can't trust anybody, and we don't know where to look for the truth. And I think that in this past year is when we really, like, shit really hit the fan, and it was just like, this is just pointless. What do you mean by you mentally? What'd you say?
That I have, like, I always have a lot of shit going on mentally. I'm bipolar.
Do you mind speaking about it?
Yeah, sure. I'm bipolar, so that means that you have highs and lows, and sometimes the lows are really low, and the highs they kind of mess your life up a little bit, and you kind of got to pick up the pieces. So I'm always kind of in a cycle, and so I can't. I guess it just doesn't hold precedent for me to be involved in a lot of different issues because I'm always kind of worried about, what I'm going to be doing the next day, and I don't really know. So I kind of wish that I was more informed. I wish it was easier for me to know what's going on in the world, but I have trouble compartmentalizing, like, what I should be looking at.
Does that affect how you do in school?
It depends. It depends. If I'm depressed, then I do worse.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you banging your foot
Yeah, it was.
on the... don't do that.
Okay.
You can't hear that? It's pretty loud.
Okay.
Try not to do that, right? If you're, like, nervous or something, that's fine.
I'm not nervous.
Just drink another beer. It's okay.
I'm done with this one.
So what, so when you do have something going on like that, right? Whether you're depressed or manic, right? That's what it's called, right?
Yep.
Manic depression is the same thing as bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
So you have episodes where you're manic, meaning like you can be completely happy, but like crazy happy, right?
Right.
Like hyper and like almost like you're on fucking meth or something like that, right? Or like,
Yeah.
so you're acting like that.
Yeah.
And when you're depressed, it's like you're sleeping all day. You
anything.
can't do shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had episodes like that. I wouldn't call myself bipolar or anything like that, but I feel like I know what you're talking about to a less extreme, probably.
Yeah.
Do you take medication for that?
Yeah. I'm on antidepressant, mood stabilizer. I'm on a mood stabilizer for the first time. So,
Do they still give lithium?
They try. When I was in a hospital, they tried to put me on lithium, and I just get scared of the side effects, and it's a very serious drug, and you have to monitor your sodium levels, and you have to get blood tested all the time. So, but I am on a mood stabilizer, which the hope with that is that when you go into the lows, they're not as low, and when you go into the highs, they're not as high. So it kind of keeps you more towards the middle, and that's been helping. So, yeah, I mean, it's a constant battle. I've gone through times where I feel like I don't want to be on any medication, and I don't want to be on anything. I don't want to be reliant. But this last depressive episode I had was about 5 months of, feeling like I can't do anything, feeling like my life is over.
Yeah, you kind of disappeared for a while. Like
Exactly.
we were always seeing you. I was always seeing you at the gym. We were talking all the time, texting you all the time, saying, "Hey, you're gonna come over to a podcast with me?" And you kind of disappeared for a while. And what happened there? If you don't mind.
I mean, that's it kind of coincided with me getting injured, me having a herniated disc, and so I couldn't really do strongman anymore. And then with that wasn't the only reason, but that's kind of when I started to get depressed. And then as my semester was ending in December, I kind of moved back home. I moved out of my apartment in the Bronx, and I didn't think I was going to be able to go back to school. I just couldn't function. I couldn't eat. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't go anywhere. And I decided to try to go back to school. And it sucked for a couple months. I stopped working out completely.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't have energy. I totally lost my social life. I didn't talk to anybody for a few months, and then I don't know. Got on some new medication. Started going to therapy twice a week with a new therapist, and yeah, it's hard to tell. It's weird because once you get out of when I'm depressed, I don't remember what it feels like to feel anything else. I don't remember what it feels like to be happy. And now that I'm not depressed, I don't remember what it feels like to be that depressed. That's why it's hard.
So it's like each time it happens to you, it's almost like it's happening for the first time.
Very intense. Yeah. You don't know when it's going to end. I didn't know if I was ever going to be I mean, it's kind of irrational, but you don't know when it's going to end. You don't know when you're going to feel okay again. And that's why it's hard. That's why it's scary, because I could have made the decision to not go back to school, and then now I'd be in a totally different place. I wouldn't be one semester away from graduating. I'd be a year away from graduating. So, yeah, it's not an easy thing to deal with. But as you get older and as you go through more and more episodes, you learn how to deal with them better. You have a support system. I learned to try to not push people away as much. I was pretty honest with people and saying, like, I was honest with you too. I remember, like, you texted me a couple times and I'm like, I'm going through some shit. Like, I don't. So, yeah, I mean, it's a battle, but a lot of people deal with it. I joined a support group at school I'd never been in a support group of people on campus. It had always been like at a hospital or something, so that definitely helped to be.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you about. Do you have like, do you notice that a lot of other people that you know have the same kind of issues, like a lot of other students in the college, or everyone's on some kind of medication or has some kind of counselor that they go to? Because it seems as though, you know, from what I know about young people, maybe not as young as you, but probably younger, that it's almost like a badge of honor to have some kind of mental issue. And it's usually with the people who probably don't have a mental issue that they kind of wish they did. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about more probably like a high school or younger college student, that it's like everyone wants to be on some kind of medication, or they want to have some kind of mental issue or see some kind of counselor so that they have a reason to say, you know, this is not my fault, or this is the way I am, or that doctors and parents are so quick to, you know, diagnose or over-medicate for things that really you don't need that kind of medication for. I'm not saying you don't. I'm saying, you know, do you know like a lot of people who have that same kind of thing?
With my peers and the people that I'm around, I'd say there's probably a divide from what you're talking about, which might be as the generations, like, as there's more technology and as, like, people are more and more connected over everything, over Facebook and Snapchat and all this stuff where you can, like, talk to anybody at any time, and where all these new issues like all the social justice stuff and all the mental health and all the trans and LGBTQ, all that stuff is becoming more and more everywhere. You can't get away from it. But with people I know, I would say that not a lot of people like kind of understand what it is to be bipolar, or what it is to have, like, I'd say it's still stigmatized in general. I don't think it's talked about. You don't see it. How often do you see in the news people talking about mental health issues compared to
when there's a mass shooting?
Yeah, or,
right.
But before that, like when you kind of the LBGT stuff, that's kind of a hot topic. People are talking about, you know, I'd say that's way more apparent than like people talking about bipolar or depression or stuff like that. It's kind of not, it's not as interesting, I guess. It's not as flashy, or it doesn't get that traffic up on the news.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really watch the news, so that's just my view. But yeah, I can't say I know what it's like to be in a like, 6 or 7 years removed from being in high school, so I would imagine that it's way different now. When I was in high school, it was still kind of not accepted, but people, if you acted gay, like you still said the word, you called people fags as a joke.
Oh man, when I was in high school, bro, there was nobody, not one person was openly gay.
Right.
When I was in high school, I graduated high school in 2002. So when I was in high school, I mean, there were kids who were still getting teased for being, you know, feminine-like, and they're openly gay now. But it was like the rumor, right? And it was not Like there was nobody. Now you have fucking boys going to school in dresses and stuff like that, and everyone can be comfortable with who they are. But back then, man, it was like I don't know one person that was openly gay in high school.
Yeah, no,
back then,
I think it's the same. I graduated in 2011.
Really? See, I thought it would have been different by then.
Not really. Like,
so that's kind of like a new thing now, because I mean, I see kids. There's a kid in my neighborhood who, for the last a good amount of years. I mean, he's an adult now. He's probably in his 20s now, but I used to see him walking to school in high school, and he'd have makeup on with his hair all done up and everything. And I mean, he was like almost like a drag queen, like but going to school. And I want to say it was probably around since then, since at least 2010, 11, 12, that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Maybe your school is a little different. I don't know.
I mean, there
being more.
There wasn't. I mean, yeah. I don't remember anyone that was openly gay, and there definitely were. There definitely were gay people, but they weren't. It wasn't a talked about thing. It wasn't.
Right.
There was still.
Well, now people have, a gay guy will have a boyfriend in his school, just like you have, the jock with the head cheerleader or something like that. Like the quarterback with the head cheerleader. There'll be gay couples in school in high school,
right?
Which is great because I mean I'm sure that helps a lot. They couldn't do that back then.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I mean, I'm sure it's happened. I've never seen it when I was in high school, when I was a kid and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Anyway. Gay. Cool. Check that one off the list.
Gay is cool.
Gay stuff. Gay is cool. Yeah. So let me ask you something. How about that? Talk about that. Do you know people in your college who are just doing gay stuff because it's cool? I'm saying that's one thing.
It's cool, or
okay,
they're okay with being gay.
People. Well, I think girls do this more in college. Lugs, lesbian until graduation.
Okay. I've never heard that, but it makes sense.
I think that's kind of like the thing now, right? Girls try it out for a couple years and then they either stay or they go back or something, I think it's a lot more common and accepted for women to do that than it is for men to do that.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, do you know any of that going on at all?
I mean, definitely. I have friends that are girls who have said, "Oh yeah, I've made out with a girl and like it's not a big deal," but and then guy friends. I would say I've experienced in college. It's more accepted to kind of like make jokes about being gay and be more comfortable with the perception that like I don't know how to explain it, like making self-deprecating jokes or like jokes about being gay as a guy is less like damning than it was before. If you made that in high school and then there's a rumor that you're gay, that might be a big deal. But now it's not as much.
Right. Yeah. They'd be like, yeah, so the fuck what? Whatever. Even if you're not gay, you'd be like, yeah, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fucking gay, fuck you. What you gonna do about it?
Yeah. So, I think in that way, there's a certain way where things are progressing where like if there's a joke about being gay, it's not like who cares, where maybe in 2010 it was a way bigger deal about being gay. Like now it's like who gives a shit, do whatever you want. But
so is there something you want to tell me, Mike? That date you went on the other night, what was his name?
Yeah. See, I'm okay with you saying that.
It's totally fine.
It's fine.
We can be open about it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, man. You want to talk about like an extremely heterosexual and masculine environment, testosterone-driven environment. I'm probably the gayest, most testosterone-driven, like manliest environment is the fucking military.
I wouldn't know,
dude. Let me tell you something, man. So I was in the Marines, right? And in the Marines, you got this thing. Everyone just acts so fucking gay and does some real homo shit to each other. You know what I'm saying? But just fucking around like, hey, you'll go up and fucking slap some guy in the ass or like go up and pretend like you're gonna hump your buddy or some shit like that. It's like stupid shit, right?
Yeah.
And it's like part of the whole bonding thing with troops and everything like that. Anyway, I'm not gonna be able to explain it to where it's gonna make sense to somebody who hasn't been there. You know what I'm saying? Like in the locker room, it's a locker room kind of thing, slapping each other in the ass, hitting each other with the towel, playing fuck games, gay shit, and everything like that. And it's a thing. And we used to say the way you get somebody to stop is to out-gay them.
Right.
Right? So if someone's going to come up to you and pretend to grab your dick, you grab theirs, right? If someone's going to pretend to kiss you, fucking kiss them. And that'll get them to stop. So this is terrible. We used to play like gay chicken.
Yeah.
Right? Like you go in for a kiss and see who backs out first, like stupid shit like that. Like that stuff happens, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's hilarious, and you would think people would be, oh, get off me, faggot. We don't do that shit, And this was in 2002 to 2006 was when I was in. So it's like you'd think it was the kind of thing would be like, oh, get off me, you fucking queer and shit like that. But it's not like that. It's the complete opposite, which is probably really surprising to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, well, that's more rational than how the rest of society was in 2002 or whatever, where
probably
nobody's out.
But the funny thing is that if somebody actually was gay,
right,
then they'd be like, they would be like, get the fuck out of here.
People are uncomfortable.
Yeah, right. That's shit. I think that shit is so funny. Well, not funny, but funny, weird, not funny.
Well, it's the same
funny,
with like that guy Michael Sam in the NFL. Such a big deal was made that he was the first openly gay player to be drafted, and everybody's talking about him, but he sucked. He couldn't even make a team. But because he was gay, that's a whole big deal. Yeah.
Wait, did he get drafted? He did get drafted.
I think he got drafted, but he I don't know if he ever played in an NFL game, but everybody talked about it because he was gay. So it's kind of like, why do we care so much when someone's gay? Or now it's
right. Like
why do we care so much when someone is, I don't know, anything, black, fucking Asian, Hispanic,
Muslim, woman, Muslim. We had the big deal was the first Muslim fencing champion or whatever it was for America, right? She went to the Olympics for America, and she was a Muslim woman, and she was like the fencing champion or something like that for the last Olympics, right? Was that last year in Rio? That's Summer Olympics, right? Fencing. I don't remember when it was. I think it was just recently though, and that was a huge deal. It showed her with her fencing stuff, and she was wearing a hijab under her fencing thing, and it was like, okay, well, is she fucking good at fencing? Yeah, that's all I care about. Right. I don't care if she's a fucking Muslim. Like, why are you making a deal out of it? Like, it didn't have to be a thing. We could have just said, oh yeah, anyone can do it. It's fencing, but we had to make it into a thing. And I feel like sports is where we don't really do that kind of stuff, right? Sports is a strict meritocracy, right? Meaning you get in based off of merit, not who you are. So you earn every spot you have, right? So for instance, in college or in the police department or something like that, or the fire department, they'll say, well, we need to get more women, we need to get more black people, we need to get more Hispanic people, or any kind of job. They'll say, for instance, or getting into a college, black people can get into this school with 200 points lower on the SATs than anybody else. Right. And that's something that's actually happening right now. That if you're a white person, like you are, you guys can't see him, but he's very white.
Pretty white.
Are you a ginger technically?
I've been called a ginger.
I don't know. You're not like orange with freckles and shit, but he's a redhead dude.
My hair used to be redder when I was younger.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I wouldn't call you a ginger. I don't think so. But anyway, yeah. So Mike is pretty white, and there are schools that you would have to have 200 points higher on the SATs than a black person to get into that school. So you're penalized 200 points on the SATs just because you're white, right? Now we're making a thing out of something that doesn't need to be a thing, right? So now we're not focusing on getting the best student. We're focusing on getting
the right student.
Exactly, the right color students to match what we think the school should look like, which I think is atrocious. I think that is terrible. I think that's regressive, that's backwards, and that shouldn't happen. Now, in sports, in professional sports, there's a reason why the New York Yankees are like the fucking UN, right? Like the United Nations, where no one speaks English, because They only go for who is the absolute best, and they will go to every corner of the earth they have to find who the best player is. There is a reason why 90% of the NBA is black, because they only care about who are the best players. They don't care about having diversity and the right color people and stuff like that. That's just the way it is. I feel like everything should be like that. And sports is kind of the last stronghold of meritocracy right now. And when we have things like the Muslim fencer and the gay football player who needs to be let on the team just because he's gay, that stuff starts going out the window.
So this stuff gets you worked up.
It does.
All the time.
Oh yeah, no, definitely it does. And it's because I think it's something that's it's destroying certain. I mean, think about it. If you can get into Harvard when you really don't deserve to be there, what is that doing to you as a student? And what is that doing to Harvard, to the name, Harvard University? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fair to anybody involved, right? It's not fair to the student who is going to be ill-prepared to attend Harvard University, right? Because they're going to fail out and they're going to be in over their head. It's not fair to the other students around him that are going to be dragged down by having to teach to the lowest denominator in the class. And it's not fair to Harvard, whose fucking numbers and statistics are going to be screwed up by having all these people drop out.
So
right?
what would your solution be? What should be done? I
would say you have to have what are the SATs out of now? 2,400? You have to have a 2250 on the SATs to get into Harvard. That's it. If you don't have a 2250, we're not looking at you.
Right.
What's wrong with that? And you know what? If you end up having a bunch of Jewish and Asian people in fucking Harvard, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. Like, that's probably the way it's going to end up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
Right.
I mean, how is that unfair in the least? Do you have another idea? Do you have?
No, I mean, I think things based on merit make sense, but it can go the other way, where being a certain race hinders you from getting in somewhere. You know I mean?
Think it shouldn't. Definitely shouldn't be a question on any application. There should not be a space on any application where you put your race or your ethnicity. Mm-hmm. That I think is completely pointless. And when it comes to like an interview, being face to face, I mean they should see how good you look on paper first.
Right. I would agree with that.
You know?
I mean, I guess that's kind of a backwards thing where things are supposed to be equal opportunity, but they ask for all this demographic information that doesn't really have an effect on if you're going to be good at a job or
right.
So I would agree with you.
I mean, yeah, it's just, yeah. I don't know. I really don't know how else to do it. I mean, I am 1,000% against putting people somewhere that they have not met the requirements for just because they look a certain way or have a certain thing between their legs.
All right.
I'm 1,000,000,000,000% against that. I think that only does bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I could be wrong. Anyway, back to you. Enough about you. Let's talk about me. So as I mentioned before, and I wrote in the description of this, you are a strongman competitor.
On a hiatus, but
on a hiatus, okay.
Yeah.
But you have competed more than once.
Yeah.
And will compete.
Hopefully.
More than one more time.
Yeah.
So you are a strongman competitor on a hiatus and a powerlifter.
Yeah.
Competitive.
Yeah.
In both. How'd you get into that?
When I was growing up, I was never very good at sports, but I played basketball all the way through high school, and I was skinny, I was unathletic, I was weak, and one day I was at basketball practice, and the other kids on the team joked about me being the weakest person on the team, and that was kind of like a switch went off for me to change that. And so I got in the gym, started messing around, started with bodybuilding stuff and, getting those muscle fitness magazines and trying to, not really know what you're doing, but just get in the gym. And, I made a lot of mistakes. I lifted heavier than I should have, and I worried about, the ego lifting of trying to lift the most weight. And I found powerlifting a couple years later, and that's when I kind of started to learn the right ways to do things. That's when you kind of seek out people who are older than you and are stronger than you and know more than you, and you swallow your pride and you listen to the people that know more than you. And so I think that's kind of been a big thing for growth for me, and probably for a lot of people, is to accept that you don't know everything, that other people know more, and to learn from other people so that you can know more. So yeah, I mean, it's been a big part of my life. It's helped me a lot with confidence and feeling good physically, and it's helped me mentally at a lot of different times where I haven't had much else, so I've had lifting. And I can't compare many things to, competing and maxing out in something that you didn't think was possible. So I think it's as much as a drug can get you high, it gets me high.
Yeah. So that's your outlet, right? Would you say that kind of helps you through all, when you're having when you're in a depressed kind of state, you don't lift, right? You don't do anything.
It depends. I mean, I struggle. It stops being fun. Yeah. When I'm depressed, everything stops being fun.
So it feels like a chore more, right? You kind of have to force yourself to do it. Mm-hmm. Does it ever help you get out of a rut?
If I can. Yeah, I mean, I think the more I can stick to something, even when it doesn't feel good, then eventually it does feel good. But I think, it's definitely been something that I can hold on to, even when I'm in the worst of times, that I know how to do it. And if I have to force myself through it sometimes, eventually it becomes really enjoyable again. So yeah, that's been there for... I've been lifting, I've been competing in some form or another for about 4 years, and lifting in general for about 6 years, and, I hope that I'll be doing it until I fucking die,
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
Nice. How much of competing and just trying to be a fucking animal and trying to be a badass and shit do you think is making up for the fact that you got whatever your teammates said to you about being the worst player on the team or something, or trying to make up for other things where you might feel inadequate, or what happened to you in your life that made you want to be the best at this one thing, if anything at all? For me, I know I started fighting probably because I got punked out a lot when I was a kid and I was not tough at all. And the fact that now a lot of people think I'm a fucking badass kind of gets me hard just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Even though, I'm probably not that much of a badass, but the fact that a lot of people fucking think I am, I'm not going to front. I like it.
Yeah.
So how much of that motivates what you do?
I can't say I don't like the attention. I mean, it's kind of nice for people to recognize you as something, as one of the strongest people that they know, and people saying, oh my god, I can't believe you did that, I could never do that. It's something that it feels good, even if you don't want to think about it all the time. I wouldn't say that I'm doing it for the attention of other people, but it's a side effect that does feel good. But to your question, I don't think there was any. It's not something that I'm making up for anymore. Maybe it started as I don't want to be this skinny, little guy anymore who people can push around, and so I'm gonna try to build myself up in that way. But now that I'm pretty far removed, I don't remember what it's like to be little. And I mean, I was 17 the last time I was like a really skinny, and I don't remember what it's like to walk around at 130 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's just become like something that I want to keep up for myself. It's just the way that I feel the best physically and mentally, and I think maybe it started out as I got to prove to other people that I'm not this little weak person, but now it's like this is part of who I am now, and I'm okay with that.
It gets some chicks too, right?
They don't like to admit that they like it, but once they're with you, they love it. But they don't like to say it beforehand.
Really?
That's in my.
I feel like a lot of girls nowadays are trying to say like they don't like all that big sweaty masculine shit.
That's what I'm saying.
But dude, people are like biologically primed by evolution to respond to certain things, men and women. And one of the things that women are biologically set up by evolution to respond to is big, strong men who can be tough and lift heavy things and protect them, who have fucking testosterone leaking out of every pore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's just one thing that women are attracted to. I'm sorry, there's no way around it. Just like men are attracted to young, fertile-looking, big-titted, tight-ass chicks, and women are attracted to big, strong men who can provide for them.
Yeah.
And you can say all you want that, your logical part of your brain and your intellectual part tells you that, no, I'm not into that stuff. But primally, you get drunk or something when you're not using your intellectual part of your brain and you're just using your primal, just animal instinct lizard brain that just wants to fucking eat. Like, that's what you're going to go for.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's just, that's the way it's going to happen.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm the type of person that, after going through all the bipolar ups and downs and going through serious depressions where you question everything, that I've become more and more and more of an honest person. And like, I don't know, I wish more people were honest in that way, where I feel like there's a lot of, something I do notice in college is people are very
Try to get a little closer to the mic. Yeah, there you go. Just bring it closer to you. Good. Sorry.
People are very worried about status. They're not. It's a lot of it is about who has the best job, who's gonna make the most money after they graduate.
Well, so let me ask you something real quick. Fordham University is the kind of place where, I mean, a lot of the people there are like the sweater vest wearing preppies and stuff, right? Where they're going to have set up through their dad's Fortune 500 company or something like that. Like they're going to have a good job after they get out of high school, college, or whatever, right?
School is like.
Is that what it's like there? You kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, people in the business school, that's what it's like, and then there's kind of a divide between people in the business school and then people in the liberal arts and sciences, where the business school has better funding. And,
right. So the business school has the privileged kids in it, right? Like the ones who come from more money and stuff like that, or
yeah, I would say.
Is that the way it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So they kind of know, they've had a plan mapped out for them, kind of by their.
I'd say there's a lot of people that do. Not there's always exceptions, and not everyone does, but there's a good amount of people that do have that don't have to worry, and that are gonna have stuff set up for them. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm in the business school and I have no idea what I'm gonna do, and my ride has been different from a lot of people. But a lot of my friends actually that I've made at school are not in the business school because they're not. It's a different type of person that is in the sciences or, is going for another type of thing. But
right.
I mean, I think I tend to connect the most with people that are the realists and the people that don't bullshit.
But you've had more of a closer background and upbringing with those kind of people in the business school, right?
Yeah.
I remember because we talked about it last time, like kind of where you're from and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely come from a rich town. It's very Jewish, but I've also, I do have a lot of diverse friends. I'm friends with all types of different people, but where I'm from and my upbringing is definitely affluent. So, I've had all the opportunities that you can get from a good upbringing. None of that helped me when I had to be put on a psych ward and stuff like that, But,
how would it help you though?
Well, I don't know.
How many times have you heard like the kind of bullshit people saying to you like, well, what do you have to be so depressed about? You're rich, or what do you have to be so depressed about? You're from you got a nice house and a nice car and blah blah blah, and you have two parents, right?
Yeah.
You have two parents that love you and all this stuff, and you have nothing to be depressed about. Rich white boy, blah blah blah, all that shit. How much have you heard of that kind of stuff?
I mean, people don't say it to my face anymore, but like, I've definitely, I've had those experiences where people who maybe have a different upbringing would kind of use that against you. Like, I chose my parents and I chose where I'm from, but I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like, it gives me opportunities that other people wouldn't have, but there's also, I don't think you should, like, when you're a kid, it's hard to say, like, you should hold it against the kid for where they're from and their parents. Like,
right. Yeah.
Once you become an adult and then you start to make your own choices and then you see how good of a person you are or not, or, then you can hold it, then you can talk about people based on their merit. But, I mean, yeah, but I do think, like, people are products of their environment. So, I mean, people are different who grow up in poor areas than people who grow up in rich areas. It's a whole different society. So,
right. I've always kind of rejected that whole idea that just because you have money or a nice house or two parents or something like that, that you can't have some kind of internal conflict or some kind of issues growing up, right? I mean, how many rich kids did you know growing up whose parents were never home, whose mother was an alcoholic and slapped the shit out of them all the time, who was raised by their nanny because their parents didn't give a shit about them or something like that? Like, that kind of stuff happens a lot, and it's real, and it does something to a child to have to go through that. So, just having a nice car and a nice house to live in with a pool or something doesn't always fix that basic need of having two parents who are going to pay attention to you and love you and raise you like they're supposed to. You know what I'm saying? So, whatever happens to people while they're growing up to kind of screw them up a little can't always be fixed by having a big bedroom, with video games and shit and whatever you want and a maid and servants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's just, I always thought that was...
Some people that are brought up like that are way more fucked up than other people.
Right. And, not to mention your biology, right? I'm sure when you have certain kind of, depression or bipolar disorder and stuff like that, you have something wrong with the chemicals in your brain.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? And people...
That goes through my like, there's been a lot of almost everybody has depression on my mom's side, so...
Really?
Yeah, I mean, that's sure, I got I grew up in a nice neighborhood, but I also got depression. So like, what, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like the people who kind of talk about like out against it the most, like say, oh, you're just using that as an excuse to do this, are the people who have absolutely no place to fucking say that. Like, you're not a doctor, you're not a psychiatrist, you have no idea what you're talking about, right? Like, I have, just like you have depression running in your family, I have addictions that run in my family, right? And whether there's the gene for it or if it's behaviors that are passed on or something like that, people go, oh, that's just an excuse, and that's an excuse, and like, I get when people want to have that kind of tough love, no excuses mentality, because they need that to fucking cope so that they don't have to show sympathy for people and stuff like that, or whatever it is, the reason why people do that. I understand the need for that kind of thinking, but like, anytime that someone has said to me, you know, like for instance, I have something going on in my brain, right, that could be hereditary or whatever, and because of where it's located, it affects impulse control, or can affect impulse control. And when I've kind of brought that up to people, well, you know, in my opinion, that's an excuse. I'm like, in your professional opinion, because you're a fucking neurologist? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, where is this opinion coming from? You have no leg to stand on when giving me your medical opinion about a medical issue that someone else has. You know, I think that's just kind of it's crazy to think that.
Ignorant. A lot of people are ignorant, or choose selectively choose what they want to believe. You know, a lot of people will say that addicts choose to be addicts, where a lot of the times it's hereditary, or like you said, there's something,
or at least it could be. And anybody that says that they know for a fact is just wrong.
Right.
You know, unless you're a fucking doctor or geneticist or whatever, and you study that kind of stuff, you're wrong. You have no idea what you're talking about. There's no reason to think either way. You know, I just don't get it sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't. There's a lot of this. I guess this is part of the reason why I have a hard time staying informed and paying attention, because so many people are misinformed, and so many people have different information, and so many people believe different things, that to try to pay attention to all of it and try to fix everything, you'll go nuts.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I have a hard enough time with my own life. Can't be worried about everybody else.
So
that sounds selfish, but
I don't think it sounds selfish at all. I mean, you have some people who just always worry about everybody else, right? I've known people that on the surface were the most selfless people that I've known, right? They would do everything for anybody else, whether they asked you to or not, you know? They would almost always inject themselves into somebody's issue. Let me do this for you. I got you. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to go above and beyond to do everything. And that person saying, no, really don't. I'm okay. Don't. And they go, no, come on. I got you. But then they turn around 5 minutes later and complain about how they're always helping everybody else and no one ever helps them.
Right.
You know, I've known a few people like that. And it's kind of like, well, you know, you don't have to be helping everybody else. Nobody asked you to. As a matter of fact, they explicitly told you not to.
Yeah,
you know, and you insisted and keep giving these people unwarranted advice and help that they don't want you to give them. They end up giving in because they feel bad or whatever, and then you're going to complain about it and say no one ever appreciates anything you do because of this and that. It's like, come on. Now, how much of that is something they can't control? You know, like, or some kind of mental thing they have going on.
Right.
You know, that's the funny part. We're sitting here talking about how, you know, people say that to us, but, you know, those kind of people do the same thing too, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has something. I think everybody's weird in their own ways, and I think people that call other people weird are just insecure.
Yeah.
Because they're not used to it. People who say, oh, that's weird about a lot of different things, like, it's just because they're uncomfortable with it. So I guess I'm in the arena that everybody has their own shit, and some people are more fucked up than others, but like I said before, it's a fucked up world.
It is, right?
A lot of fucked up shit happens.
It is. Dude, just today alone, we had a senator being shot in Alexandria, Virginia. Did you hear about that? You don't watch the news at all? No. So you didn't know about that? Okay.
I didn't know about it.
We had a workplace shooting in San Francisco. I think it was San Francisco. It was like a disgruntled employee or something like that. Shot up his workplace. And then that fire in London. No, you still have no idea what I'm talking about? No, there's like, I think it just happened, which would have been this morning for us. Maybe it's tonight or something for London. But there was like an apartment building in London that was just, dude, this fire it looked worse than the World Trade Center. What I'm saying?
Was it like an accident? Or
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I would have to read about it and watch more. I don't even think they know. But like there's a lot of people dead. I think at the last I heard there was like 6 confirmed, and there's obviously planning to find more. But I think it was the kind of thing where like people were jumping out of the windows.
Yeah.
Like how bad does a fire have to be? Like how bad does it have to be in there that jumping to your death is the better option?
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
And like every day there's just a crazy amount of shit in the news. I understand why you don't watch the news.
I mean,
it's fucking scary, man. It's depressing.
One of the last things I remember with watching the news was I was in my last haircut I got. I was in the barbershop and they had the news on, and there was the day that the guy drove in Times Square.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, people are fucking nuts. Like you're literally not safe anywhere you go.
Yeah.
I mean, and you can say, people say, well, the odds of that happening are, slim to none. And I always just say, well, on the morning of September 11th, 2001, the odds of an airplane flying through your fucking window were pretty slim too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean anything for the 3,000 people that were there.
Yeah.
Right? So the odds of it happening. So I have like a formula I use, which I mean I think I made it up, but I doubt I did. Right? Like the odds of something happening divided by the consequences of it happening to you. You know what I'm saying? So if there's, a slim chance that there's going to be a terrorist attack when you're on the subway, but if it does happen, you're fucking dead, and 1,000,000 people are dead, then I think the consequences of it happening outweigh the odds of it happening. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but then what are you supposed to do? Not go on the subway?
No, I don't know. It's just something to pay attention to. I would never let it keep me from living my life.
Yeah.
Myself. But it's definitely like, don't think you're okay. Don't think you don't have to have your head on a swivel.
Yeah.
Don't think you can just fucking walk by that backpack that's sitting right there and not say anything to anybody. Yeah. Don't just be oblivious. And most people right now are. And I think they're in serious denial. There's been a few times where I've seen a backpack sitting in a subway station, and I am the only one that has gone and said something. If you see something, say something. Yeah. I was the only person that did. Everyone else just either they don't care or they think someone else will do it, that's what the hell is that called? The bystander effect. The more people that are around, when
the less chance that someone's going to do it because they think someone else will do it, and then nobody does it.
So knowing that that's the truth, I just can't not do it. I have like a fucking hero complex or something, but I just can't like not do something. If I see something happening in front of me, I have to, because I know nobody else is going to do it. It's like a complex I have. It's weird. We're talking about like what motivates us to do stuff. I'm motivated by the. Probably it's. I think it might be more selfish than that if I had to be honest with myself. You know what I'm saying?
You want to be the one that saves people.
Probably, yeah. Like if I had to be really honest with myself, because they have that saying, there's no such thing as a selfless act or whatever like that.
There's nothing. There's no true altruism.
Right,
something.
Because even if you're doing something to help somebody,
you get for yourself.
Right, you feel good doing something for the people. So, yeah. Anyway, Do you need to go?
I'm chilling.
You chilling? All right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to bring up? We've been on for an hour. I usually do it for an hour, but if you want to stick around, that's totally fine.
I mean, I think I talked about my life enough. I'm still looking for a job this summer. So
what are you trying to do?
Anything.
See, I feel like most college kids your age just fuck off and don't care about that shit. Like, have you had jobs over the summers before while you were in college?
I mean, I had summer jobs in high school, and then I kind of worked at the gym for the last couple summers. But now, like, when I get out of school, I'd like to have something on my resume that, I don't know. I don't think I'd ever be good in a corporate job. I just don't think I could do it. But I want to at least have some different type of experience, because pretty much everything's been in the gyms, and I love the gym.
Right.
But, what if that isn't what I end up doing for a career? Then,
Well, so have you heard or do you know about the kind of things that other people your age are known for doing when they're getting a job out of college?
I hear the saying, it's all about who you know.
No. I'm saying the way that
the way that people go about getting jobs,
or the way that they're kind of behaving when they do get jobs. So there's the new thing now is that what's going on at all these kind of corporate jobs and like really important jobs is you have these millennials coming straight out of college, going into a job thinking that they deserve everything already.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You're in an entry-level position. You're fresh out of college, zero experience, and you should just be you're just God's gift to the earth, right? Because you've been told, not you, obviously I'm talking about in general, your generation, have been told your entire life that you're special. No one's as good as you. You're a perfect special little boy or girl. You're a special little snowflake. That saying, special snowflake. You're in school. You are not allowed to have any kind of negative feeling or thought. You're always super protected. You should be wrapped in fucking bubble wrap, all the time. You're protected from any negative feelings. So as soon as these kids get out into the real world after college, they cannot compete and fend for themselves in the real world. They can't. They do not have the tools to be able to face any kind of adversity. They don't have the tools to be able to have anything less than having their ass kissed all the time. You know what I'm saying? So they're going in to work and they're saying, oh, I can't believe you want me to be here at a certain time. I need time off. I need vacation. I need this. I need that. And it's like, you've been here for a fucking week. You don't deserve shit. You've earned nothing through this company or this business, whatever it is you're working for. You've earned nothing, but they want everything. They think they deserve everything just for breathing. And it's a big problem. I talk to people, I have clients that are CEOs of companies, they're bosses, they're like, doctors or whatever that have hired assistants and staff at the front desk and things like that. And they just have this huge issue with people, like 25 and under, that just think the world owes them everything when they have done nothing at all to deserve it. And that's bad for business, man. That's crazy. And people are going to wonder why all these fucking 20-year-olds are being fired from jobs and they're not able to get any kind of job.
Right.
Because they're just shitheads, man. And the good thing is that for people that age that are not like that, or that are the opposite, or they act like real adults, is they're going to stand out like crazy.
Right.
I know a few 22-year-olds, 20-year-olds that are more mature than I am now. And they're professional and they're respectable and they want to work hard and they are going to be extremely successful. And there's other people their age cannot compete with them. They're going to fucking eat them alive. They are going to eat them alive. And I don't know. I think the main kind of takeaway is that for the kids that are like that, the undesirables,
right,
that it's not their fault. Right? You are a product of your environment, and it's not your fault. There is a series of events that kind of happen in a perfect sequence that made this generation this way. And it's not their fault. But if they want to fix it, unfortunately, they're the ones that are going to have to, trudge through shit and deal with it in order to fix it and be a little uncomfortable for a couple of years until they adjust to the fucking real world. You dig?
I dig.
Homie? All right. Well, so now I need to go because I got somewhere to be.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody, this has been Mike Weiss. Thank you for joining me today, Mike Weiss. When's your next competition you're doing? Do you have one scheduled?
I gotta see what's good with my back first, but
okay.
Still got a herniated disc.
Well, I can't wait to check you out.
Yeah.
Next at your competition, and we will definitely post some of your fucking videos up here because one of the things that I want to do is have young people who have good stories, success stories, who have cool things they do, like you. I want to kind of showcase you guys and get you guys out there and show everybody what people are capable of, and that not everybody from your generation is a complete shithead,
Yeah.
So how do you think of that?
That sounds good to me.
All right. I think Mike Weiss has earned the title of a Rogue Millennial.
All right.
How do you feel about that, Mike?
Feels good.
Yeah? All right. Well, thank you for joining us, peeps. This has been the Rogue Millennial Podcast. My name is Scotty, and if you would like to join me and come sit in the blue chair and have a chat and have a talk, I would love to have you. So you can please, if you're on the Facebook page watching this right now, you can shoot me a message. You can email us at theroguemillennials@gmail.com. Twitter, I am at RogueMillScotty, and that's about it. I'm sorry, Rogue Scotty M. Why did I say Rogue Mill Scotty? That's not my name. At Rogue Scotty M, right? Okay. And that's it. So thank you very much for joining us. Say goodnight, Mike.
Good night.
And I will see you guys later.